tragic affair. And that's a man named William Joyce, who was given the name Lord Haw. Well, that's funny, isn't it? Where's the, yeah, he was given the name Lord Haw. And I have, this is really interesting, because here we are, I have some notes here and I've got the wrong page. And it's one of those things that you can do. Well, that's great. Anyway, Lord Haw was hung in 1946. And if I recall, he was born in 1906 in America, New York to be exact. And at age 3, that would be 1909, went to Ireland. At age 15, he left Ireland and came to England. And during a period, he became political, etc., and joined the British Union of Fascists, and then, you know, formulated his own party, whatever. The point is, he believed, as many did, that the Second World War was not necessary. It really wasn't necessary in my view. And he believed it was a banker's war, if you will. And history tells us that it was a banker's war, and indeed unnecessary. Now you have to do your research, and of course I'm only bringing up William Joyce and Treason, so I don't really want to go into the whole aspect of World War II and how it started. That would have to be another video, and you would have to request it, and therefore I'd have all the papers in play to tell you. Okay? But he was anti-war, as many of us are. And on the eve of 1939, when war, more or less, all communication had broken down, sometimes communication breaks down with parties because one party doesn't really want to not have that fight. They've been paid to make sure that fight goes on. So that, you know, sometimes it's unavoidable. And there were many voices in England at the time that were anti the war. And the left were around at the time because they wanted the war. It's funny about lefties. They wanted the war. And they came out with the War Powers Act, or something akin to the War Powers Act. Can't remember what the act is actually called, as I stated to you just now. I'll do a video, if requested to do one, about the history and how it actually came about. That a European conflagration that actually had nothing to do with this United Kingdom. But we were in it. And it lasted for 6 years. 1939 to 1945. Well, anyway, he got word that they were rounding up people who were anti-war, and they were going to intern them for the duration of the war. Now, I know of somebody who wrote a book. Archibald Mauld Ramsey has a book, a very interesting book. And he was one that was rounded up. He was aristocratic, and of course got a voice and so forth. But people who have an agenda, it's a bit like Lincoln. Lincoln did the same thing. He used the War Powers Act and he shut down newspapers. He locked up journalists just because he wanted the war. So a narrative is being formed already, right? Because once things are going on and disasters happen and ships are sunk and stuff like that, and these people are still talking, you will get the nation will be dissatisfied with the war and call for sue for peace, etc. And would possibly turn on the people who actually made the war happen, because it's their sons have died, and want charges of treason against them. So generally speaking, when you've got rogue governments, they want to shut everybody, round them up, and lock them up for the duration of the war, so they can't say anything, right? And they've done it to Archibald Mauld Ramsey and other people. Some people call them fascists, some people call, you know, what must you call them? It's a bit like Rome, called everybody barbarians they wanted to have a fight with, you know? And and Iraq, oh, babies being bayoneted, thrown out of incubators, and yeah, we got, you know, it's the same trick over and over again. don't like it, then don't learn. It's an old trick. You demonise the other so you can get, they're savages, the noble savage there, well, they don't know what they're doing, they're not civilised, we'll take their land, we'll take their gold, we'll enslave them. Same trick, over and over again, right? So he got wind that they were coming for him, and he fled in 1939 to Germany. Now, what's so fantastic or memorable about some politician? Well, his name was William Joyce, and a journalist from the Daily Express gave him the name Lord Haw-Haw, right? Because of the way he spoke, right? Apparently it's a broken nose that never healed well, and so therefore it was very nasally. And he sounded, what? I suppose that's what they're saying, where it comes from, Lord Haw-Haw. And what he used to do was broadcast from Germany. He'd say, Germany calling, right? Or Germany calling, the Haw-Haw type thing. And he would broadcast events that were going to happen. And from what I understand, and from what I've read, the British public thought it was a bit of a joke until things got serious. And he was very popular. He was more popular than the BBC, apparently. And the Germans gave him a job, if you will. So he broadcast, and he would talk about the invasion of such and such going to take place, blah, 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 blah. He's a broadcaster. Okay? So war's end, and on this video, I think at the end, I'm going to put his last speech. He sounds a little drunk, when I say something, it sounds like he's got a little slur going on. It's his last speech. Obviously, it's not gone well for Germany and himself, and it is what it is. Obviously, he was on the run, he was caught on the run, and his wife was caught on the run, and he eventually was executed by the notorious English hangman Pierpoint. So I'm putting that at the end of this broadcast so you can understand and perhaps ask questions. And if you put in William Joyce traitor, I think you got lots of articles. And this is what learning is about. Once you've read one and you get the gist of who he was, maybe do a Wikipedia search, and then you do a Telegraph has printed something and other journalists and other historians have. Have a look. You get some real interesting details. Don't let mainstream tell you don't look here. You go and look when you need to look. So understand, it's only to look, to see, to read, to evaluate, and find out what is fact. That's your job. That's your duty. Make sure everything's safe. Everything's the real McCoy. So the tragic thing with him is he wasn't actually an English national. As I started, he was American, born in America. How they got him for treason was one of those days he'd actually got himself a false passport, a false English passport. And once you hold a genuine British passport, you have what they call, not diplomatic immunity, diplomatic status. It's not the right word. It means if you're in trouble, your nation, your embassy, has to come to your aid, okay? You're afforded aid to find out where you are, what conditions you are held under, what's the situation, and to find out you're okay, and if unnecessarily and illegally held, then negotiations to get you back home to the Christian realm, that is the United Kingdom. So, although in reality he was never a national, so therefore you can't be treasonous to some nation that you're not a national, because he held a British passport, and it's a forged one. The fact is, nobody knows it's forged. So you have got away with it, and everybody would think it's true, so therefore you've got that protection. And on that is what they got him for. And the treason charge was from 1939 to 1940. Now this is the beginning of the war. The war began in 1939 and ended in 1945. So they're not asking treason for the entirety of the war, just for that period. I think it was September 1939 to June 1940. My reading and memory is correct. So in those periods, they're saying he was treasonous. Well, I'd like to know exactly I'd love to know what he actually said. You know what I mean? Because the broadcaster, what's the broadcaster do? Tell you what happened, right? Or get the script and relay to you. I'm not sure how that's treasonous. And if it is treasonous, then just think of what Anna Soubry's doing. Think about what all these Brexiteers are actually doing every day. When they have a sovereign national, they hold a British passport. Well, they don't, they hold an EU passport. We're going to get a British passport back. The fact is, the EU has morphed, it's brought more into it, i.e., when it first started, it was the European Economic Community. It had nothing to do with passports. All of a sudden, passports come into it. All of a sudden, freedom movement of people. All of a sudden, you've got to take people from war-torn countries, and they tell you how much. All of a sudden, you've got to give them a quota, and, you know, billions are going in and you're getting a fraction back. Billions going in and you're getting a fraction back. And, you know, for that, I think Theresa May has got to go. And I hope it's either Jacob Rees-Mogg or Boris. Just get rid of her, and let's do what the situation is. So, the broadcast has given you a little bit of history, ad hoc, I know, but I just wanted to reiterate why I'm using the words treason and sedition. Sedition is when you're talking against your nation, undermining it for the benefit of another entity to take over your sovereignty, okay? Or you're writing it in print. That's sedition. Treason is when you're actually doing acts. For instance, George Soros. Now, he's not British national. But he's donated 400,000, and just the other day another 100,000. That's £500,000, £500,000 for the anti-Brexit group, right? So he's funding. Yet again, you've got this Hungarian Jewish guy, right? And he's funding left-wing organisations, the Green Party, which doesn't make any sense to me. Black Lives Matter, which is a fake organisation fronted by him. He gave them 40 million. And all they ever do is, whenever there's, in the case of Kanika Jenkins, they rallied around her. She put up a GoFundMe account, and they boxed people in, and she must have raised $30,000. They took the money and paid these renter crowds with it. I can only assume that's what's happened. She complained with the money. The money disappeared. 30,000 in the account, it's gone. Who do you think got it? It's not real, right? All these are fake organisations just to undermine this Christian realm, okay? So here he is, 100,000. So he's an enemy of the state. And for these UK nationals to be taking money from the enemy of the state to openly, I don't know that you can call them a fifth column anymore. I really don't. They're taking over the universities with their and they're pushing these nonsensical ideologies, from neo-Marxism, post-structuralist, social constructionist. We'll get into that, which make no sense. Oh, are you trying to tell me it's my time to shut my mouth? Is that what you're telling me? Always interrupting. I never get a break. But it's one of those things. So, George Soros is a guy that goes around. He calls himself God. There's an article. Alright. If you have the internet, and I think you have a library and they've got computers, tap in George Soros called himself God. And read it. Read what he says. Read about his biography. I'm not doing it here. Read about his biography. Read his thoughts. These guys think they are God. And they think money buys everything. And it obviously does buy some people. It does buy some people. I mean, the mere fact that speaking for the sovereignty of your home, you have to get paid for. It's crazy. You do that anyway. Well, I'm doing it now. When I ask you, and I will be asking you to donate, it's because of what my doctor calls maxillofacial so I need some cosmetic surgery. Also because I need a war chest because, and I'll explain to you when we get into other topics concerning university and the studio work, the anthem. Well, feel free. By the time this is uploaded, the anthems on my YouTube page, well, they might be there, but a better copy may be on my Facebook page. You have a listen to it. It's one of those things. I think I'm good at what I do, and I'm not in a studio, but I intend to go into a studio and do this work. So, my friends, I think with that, I'm not gonna tarry any longer and keep you from some important duties that you have to do and that I have to do. I'm going to do a broadcast on my view of the debate between Tariq Nasheed and Jared Taylor. Very interesting viewing it was, and obviously you go on YouTube, you tap in Tariq Nasheed, Jared Taylor, you'll get what you need to get. So my abiding comment to you is, if you are listening to this, it's not a party political issue. Brexit is not a party political issue. It really isn't. If it wasn't for Nigel Farage, he's a great communicator and he valiantly brought it, risked his life to bring it to the fore and make it a real issue. And it is a real issue. It is a real issue. I mean, you've got that song. It's not one of my favourites, but it's called Rule Britannia, and it's got a comment in there, we'll never ever be slaves. Well, if you're in the EU, not only would you be a vassal state, you'd be a slave state. You cannot do as you please. You cannot say as you please. I discussed that before. Okay? There are lots of bountiful fruit that the UK can reap. And great relations can be forged in this new world. And when I say new world, it's new enlightenment. Because it's new thinking. Because if you consider imperialist past, right? What they call the imperialist past. And when Britain had an empire so vast that the sun never set, or it was said that the sun never set. Much of that was the privateers getting what they got and pretty much taking advantage of the others, the natives of that land. But a new UK, a real UK, can forge relationships. Because what's actually happening at the moment is that the UK is actually funding failure in those nations and ensuring that they fund the failure of those nations. And it's got to be from a fearful point of view or a short-sighted point of view. In many of these nations that have an affiliation with the mother country, they're in a terrible shambles. But we can export so much. We can build roads, schools, export teachers. We can make this world a great place and hold these nations. They'll be loyal to, I mean, if you teach some to fish, they're forever grateful. But if you keep giving them a fish, which is the kind of policies that they're doing now with the so-called aid, they're crippled. They're still never going to be able to stand on their feet. You want a wise man doesn't need to browbeat you and beat you into loyalty, and that's what's been going on. This can change because we need to put the French to shame because they've got a lot of African countries, but they bully them. They're disgraceful to their own. But yet, even though the UK doesn't do what the French do, which is disgraceful, in their own way, what they're doing is disgraceful, and that needs to change. And it can really benefit and give lots of bounty to the UK and lots of work. Oh yeah, there'll be lots of work. You can almost get Britain working again when these Mandarin's, the Department for Works and Pensions. Oh yeah, I'm going to do a video about that as well. The Department of Works and Pensions. So once I've done that video, I think you'd willingly donate to me. But rather than ramble on from one subject to another subject, this subject on treason, sedition and Brexit, I think I've done my bit. If there's anything else that needs to be said on the issue, remember you can look at William Joyce and his whole trial, and you get some mainstream news on it. There's possibly a book written about his interesting life and some other views, right? Get the facts, have a look at it, find out for what it is for what it is. So that's my conversation on the issue and why I believe a lot of these MPs who are actively, in my view, being seditious, okay, ought to have their MPship or thrown out of Parliament, put it that way, and actually investigated and silenced and jailed. And with that, my friends, come on you Spurs!